Would you like to learn about the Bauhaus? Good, because we're going to go inside and learn about it. This is Fragments of the Future. So this is Bauhaus, one of the most important schools for design and architecture that's ever existed. A hotbed of innovation and imagination. One of the places that kicked off modernism and spread ideas around the world from this tiny town. People who love modern architecture and design have this bucket list of places that reads Chandigarh, Brasilia, Helsinki, Belgrade, Skopje, and Dessau, this small town in Germany. And this is the reason that people come from all around the world to see the Bauhaus. And this school has been restored to its former glory on its 100th anniversary. It opened 100 years ago. So the Bauhaus was more than just a school, it was a way of life. You could learn about design and architecture here, but there was also theatre, performing arts, visual art. Everything worked together. It was a complete education, and they were trying to build the citizens of a new society. The roaring 20s, Germany was industrializing. Optimism, change was in the air. Babylon Berlin showed how people were partying. It was the end of an era, it was the start of another era. Everything was changing and everything was exciting. And this was the world in which the Bauhaus found itself when it opened up here in Dessau in 1926. Everything was changing. This is one of the motifs of modernism, the building going over the road. And you can see it in so many cities, so many buildings around the world. Architects thought, if we want to do something modern, we're going to make our building go over the road. But the Bauhaus here was one of the first ever to do that. The building was revolutionary with this glass facade, letting light in, big, modern, futuristic. Also, almost like a factory of art and design and ideas. The students drew, they wrote, they thought, they created plays, they larked around, judging by a lot of these photos as well. It looks like the Bauhaus was a fun place to be. The ideas were serious, but there was also this feeling that they were creating something and they were enjoying that. The Vasily lounge chair by Marcel Breuer, 1926. I'm not going to sit in this one because I don't want to get in trouble, but these chairs have become ubiquitous. I hope I'm not sounding too much like a TV historian in these pieces to camera, by the way. This is the Bauhaus Museum, where you can find out all about the history of the Bauhaus here in Dessau. So with Bauhaus, what they were trying to do was create this new way of living. Corbusier was talking about machines for living. That came slightly after this, but this was about creating a modern world. So we'd had that Victorian period, people had been living in slums. The 20th century was the people's century. And from the 1920s onwards, we were creating this new world for people. It was going to be democratic and it was going to be for everyone. And that's what this was about. Clean, healthy, fresh, new, different to what had come before. And they kind of laid the groundwork for a lot of the design and a lot of the ideas that came throughout the 20th century. Bauhaus has kind of become a brand, hasn't it? There's a store called Bauhaus, which is like a sort of DIY type home improvement store. And it's become sort of synonymous with this idea of design, design that you can buy as well, like a kind of consumer product. But it was sort of, in a way, it was intellectual, but it was also kind of trying to be something that could be a real life thing. It could be design that you could use and that you could buy and that would be ubiquitous in the future. So it's really interesting that it's kind of become like that thing. And there's a shop here where you can buy lots of different souvenirs and things as well from the Bauhaus period. So this is the room I stayed in last night, one of the original student rooms in the student block here. Very simple, clean, plain, no amenities, no mini bar, no TV. I hate it when hotels have TVs anyway. Um, and yeah, you can feel like you're a part of history. It's memorable, one for the bucket list. Welcome to the masters' houses. These are where the masters of the Bauhaus lived, the people that ran the show, the important people. The Gropius house, where Mies Van Der Rohe lived after Gropius and his wife moved out. And then the other three houses down here, where people like Kandinsky, Klee, Feininger, Mucha, Schlemmer, and Laszlo Moholy-Nagy all lived all together, well, at different times, but there were times when several of them were living together in this one space, surrounded by these mature trees. It would have been an incredible fecund period, no doubt. And these houses survived the Second World War. Dessau was decimated during that time, but the houses are still here and obviously protected monuments today. And the Gropiuses were not shy either. They promoted these houses and this way of living. Walter Gropius's wife, Isa, made a documentary film in 1926 called A Healthy and Economical Way of Living. Very German. I wonder what it would have been like to live here as well. I'm just going around Walter and Isa Gropius's for tea. And it was very sociable as well. They had lots of parties here. They were thinking, they were intellectuals. They're probably doing nudism as well, I imagine. But it was definitely this time right before, obviously, the shit hit the fan, where there was imagination, optimism. They were thinking about a brighter, better future. And it must have been an amazing time to be around. This is the house where Kandinsky lived. Again, a remarkable Bauhaus house. The colour scheme in here is wonderful. There is blue, red, and yellow on the stairs and downstairs, which were the sort of house colours of the Bauhaus. You can see them in the Herbert Bayer montage illustrations that Bayer did. One of those is a screensaver on my phone. This is black, but yeah, blue, red, and yellow everywhere. Also, look at these windows, so much light in these houses. The Kandinskys loved having people over. They welcomed people like Kurt Schwitters and the Guggenheims. Dinner for the Guggenheims and the Schwitters was cooked in the kitchen there and then brought in here to the dining room where the dinner parties were held. And this is the house where Paul Klee lived, right next door to Kandinsky. So he could pop round for a cuppa and a biscuit whenever he fancied. Vasily Kandinsky and Paul Klee were good friends, and they famously gave each other paintings as gifts, which is lovely. No one's ever given me a painting. Gave my mum one once. I did it in school. It wasn't very good. In the Roaring Twenties, everything was well at the Bauhaus, but that was all to change in the early 30s. In 1932, the Nazis had it closed down, and in 1933, the staff and students left. It was the end of the Bauhaus. That kind of cross-disciplinary ethic, as you might say in the art world, is still alive today. For the 100th anniversary celebrations, they've invited all kinds of different artists, visual artists, dancers, musicians, theatre makers from all around the world to come to Dessau. And there's all kinds of special events, exhibitions, performances happening there at the Bauhaus. But then at the other Bauhaus buildings around Dessau and in some other locations as well. So they're kind of spreading out just like they did originally. The Bauhaus was alive with thoughts, with ideas, all these skilled, talented, imaginative people coming together. And they were dreaming up these amazing schemes: sculpture, art, graphic design, architecture, theatre, performance art. It was all coming together. A really incredible, thrilling period. And then those people went on to change the world. They moved away, they made art, they made theatre, they made posters, they made graphics, they made architecture. What we're going to look at next is the architecture of Dessau that was born here in the Bauhaus school, and which they then used the town as a large experiment for houses, shops, offices. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our look at the Bauhaus. I certainly have. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this, please click subscribe. You might like to leave a comment as well if you've been here or you have some thoughts about it. But I hope you've enjoyed looking at the Bauhaus and its influence, which was wide-ranging. My name's been Christopher Beanland. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Look, this is one of the many festivals they held at the Bauhaus in 1929. They look like they're having an absolute riot here, don't they? This design became one of the motifs of modernism, having a building fly over a road, and it's recurred in so many different cities and so many different buildings. Architects thought, if we want to look modern, we'll make our building go over the road.